Hi everybody, welcome to Ask Me Anything, Ask Us Anything.
It's not all about you, Tim.
I know. It's us. There we are. So it's Ask Us Anything. So we put a shout out on the website to ask people, well, to basically offer the opportunity for people to ask us questions as to how church online has worked over the last year. Or hasn't, depending on your point of view. Luckily, we both think it has worked. I think. Maybe. We'll find out in a minute. We'll find out. That's one of your questions. Cool. So, we put a shout out. People sent in some questions. So we have split them to one's for me and one for John.
In our magic books.
Magic books.
This is your
Cool. So basically, it's going to be really awkward because we've not seen any of these questions, which is really cool. So we're going to read them and then answer them as best as we can on camera.
Yeah, I do. If you're distracted by the fact that I do have a very broken bit of shoe there, I'm so sorry, but I might take it off actually. There you go.
No, I think put it back on again.
I don't
The sock is distracting me now.
Continuity. There you go. I think anyone noticed.
Cool.
Do you want to go first?
Me go first?
Yeah.
Me go first. Okay. Oh, it's like Christmas, isn't it? This is awesome.
It's not like Christmas.
It's not like Christmas at all.
No.
Grandpa, please explain. No, sorry, the question is, so what next? What things would you love to do again, and what new ideas would you like to explore or explore even further?
It's a great question.
That's a really good question. So, yeah, essentially, is what's next? We're going to take this from a Bethel Kids point of view, or Bethel Life? Yeah. So, from a Bethel Kids point of view, it's going to be, so we've done a massive series. We finished off a massive series last year of who is Jesus, like what is God, and then we kind of went straight into the Christmas story because they bookended really well together. So we did a little exploration of the Christmas story, which is a brilliant opportunity because with a normal church, can we say normal church? Normal church, when we're meeting in a building.
We're not one of those.
All of the young people would be using the Sundays in the run-up to Christmas to get ready for the nativity play. Whereas this year, the nativity kind of was slightly different. So we had the brilliant opportunity to be able to explore the Christmas story more full. And we're hopefully going to do that now over the Easter period as well. We're going to explore the Easter story, so that all the run-up, all the way from Palm Sunday, all the way through to the death and resurrection. Sorry if that was spoilers for anybody, of Jesus. So that's going to be cool. And then possibly I am tentatively looking at a brilliant series on the fruits of the Spirit. So exploring the fruits of the Spirit with all the young people on a Sunday morning, and discovering how they can feed into our lives and how we can kind of grasp them. Yeah.
That's good. I think in terms of just to pick up there on the nativity, I know a lot of people look forward to that. You know, it's a big thing. And I thought it was great this year doing it, virtual one, for all my fears about the fact that it would look awkward or kind of, what's the word, stilted, is that the word?
Yeah, because the problem is when you have lots of people saying lots of different lines in different places, different tones, different ways of saying it, you're not responding off of each other as well, it can sometimes feel a bit stunted, and kind of stilted, and kind of a bit disjointed in how it's put together. But I think with the strength of the script and the strength of the cast as well, they all did absolutely fantastic together, all filming in their various ways, all with their own little forms of humour as well, which was great. And I think, it just came together so well in the edit as well. It was so easy to edit because it was all scripted. And everybody said their lines so well. I was really happy.
Real highlight, I thought. In terms of stuff I'd like to explore, I think one of the things we miss, I don't know about you, is communication feels a bit one way at times due to the technology. And I'd love to see if we could develop more interaction. And we've done bits of it. We've sort of dipped our toe in, but I kind of feel like we'd get a lot further. And we bring out more depth and flavour if we were to somehow share it more together.
It's a really difficult balance at the moment with, like you say, it's one-way preaching at the moment, and not having that reaction back from people to know if, say for instance, something you've said is hit, like the correct chord, with the congregation. Like occasionally we get some lovely comments from people in the YouTube feed on a Sunday morning as well, saying hallelujah or blessed are the words or whatever.
Or no sound.
Or no sound. No sound is a very often one. But it would be lovely to figure out new different ways of being able to get that feedback from people.
Yeah. And if you have any thoughts on that, we'd love to hear them.
Absolutely.
Fab. So,
your turn.
Okay. Are these are memories and questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are some memories, some people have sent memories in.
Okay, fab. So this one says, Monday evening prayer meetings have been the best way to begin my every week. I've really valued that half hour with my church family to seek and thank the Lord and commit the week to Him. I leave reminded every single time that there's power in prayer and agreement, and that has felt hugely comforting.
Oh,
that's great. That's awesome. Wow. It's very, very cool. I don't have to come up with an answer to that, so yeah. So, I agree.
Are you sure you don't want to look for a question, John?
Okay, so I'll look for a question.
Yeah, I think we'll go. If we get a memory, we have to do a question afterwards.
Okay, this one has a question mark at the end, so it's a question.
Okay.
Okay. The evening services have always been different, even before COVID. I don't know what you mean. How have you been able to be creative during this time with the way people can explore and meet with God on a Sunday evening? Yes, that's a really great question. I think there is a noticeable difference between mornings and evenings. And I think we decided early on we wanted to make it different, because I think in the morning you're more geared up for, we're just in the habit of it, a lot of us, the rhythm of it, of worshipping together, of encountering God, it's the Lord's Day, all the rest of it. In the evening, you probably don't want as much content to process, because you're probably slowing down and starting to think about the week.
Sunday lunch effect.
The Sunday lunch effect is massive, not just the lunch. And so I think some of them have been, they are shorter, they're more creative, there's lots more visually going on. Some of them have been 10 minutes, quarter of an hour. Some have been sort of Bible study stuff, where we've invited others and had 3 or 4 voices, all exploring a question or a passage together. And I think
done 1 or 2 on Zoom as well, haven't we?
Yeah. Done a whole bunch on Zoom. Yeah, different styles. I think it's trying to explore the media really. So some evenings we just start with music and a question, or some text will come up, and then we'll move into teaching. To go back to the question that was asked earlier about what would you love to do, I'd love to work out if it was possible to do a whole sermon without saying a word and just letting the images and the words.
Wouldn't we all?
Next question. Tim, what will your next job be?
Shall I go for the next question?
You go for the next one.
Cool. This one. So, in terms of online ministry, when there's no one in front of you, where do you get the energy from in terms of finding a passion to convey the message without seeing people responding to it? That's a good one, because Bethel Kids quite often requires quite a lot of energy. Yeah. And there have been weeks where I've watched the video back and gone, oh my God, I look tired. There have been those weeks.
I'm nodding because I've thought that about myself. How about you?
Yeah. I think, right before the services start, both me and John basically pray over the service, pray over the technology specifically, and pray over kind of the content that we're going to be sharing that morning. And I found the mornings where I've prayed through it and kind of amped myself up. I've been pacing the church, kind of working up the energy to share some of that, whatever it is I've got to share that morning. I think that's where some of the energies come from. Other times it's having silly things around me, like the teddy bears and stuff like that, or having something to share, gearing up to play a song and things like that. So keeping the energy flowing, keeping it, for the kids especially, it's about timing, so making sure it's short. I think some of the earlier like services that we did for Bethel Kids were quite long. Kind of got them down to about 20-25 minutes now, which is about right, about the time of a normal kids episode of something. And plenty of things going on in there, so plenty of engagement from people, a quick question at the start, or a kind of like idea of what we're going to be going through that week, and then we'll jump to Bethel Kids News and Updates, which is always nice to see what the kids have been up to. And then a story, a song, a craft, so there's plenty of things to keep the energy moving through the service that doesn't necessarily require me to be energetic in front of the camera straight away. So, but yeah, it is difficult. It is something you've got to train yourself to do. I think early on, I kind of entered naively into it, going, yeah, it'll be fine. And then you sit down in front of the camera on a live Sunday morning and you go, okay, what am I saying?
It's entirely different. I mean, you would have thought after a year we'd be used to it, but it's still very strange. You're effectively looking at a little black circle, and there's this blurry world behind it where usually your family would all be gathered. And so much for me, and I'm sure for you as well, Tim, of ministries in the moment, is in the flow of what you trust that God is wanting to do and say. You can totally see why some people the Lord calls to like a multimedia or online ministry, and they've been doing it for years and they do it really well.
Yeah.
But it is a totally different scenario, and you just have to get used to it. I guess along the way, encouragement definitely helps.
Yes.
So when you come home and realise that people have been listening, that it worked, and that God is still speaking, that makes a massive difference.
Yeah, I've had messages during a live Bethel Kids when we've cut to like the craft or a story that's been pre-recorded, and I've had a message from somebody, and that's really like energized me afterwards to know that what I've said or what the Lord has said through me has kind of hit home. And knowing that reaction, like you would get that if we were over in the centre and the kids were in front and you saw their face light up when you'd mentioned something, you'd be like, brilliant, it's hit home. Yeah. Whereas like speaking to the camera, I think that's one of the difficulties we've had to work around and kind of work around creatively over the last year.
I think one of my favourite memories was, do you remember the Sunday morning when I had totally misunderstood the Welsh Government's guidance about the traffic light system, and so I just said, guys, if we open the church, shall we just have a 24/7 prayer thing? We'll all book in, and I could feel the phone in my pocket just buzzing as all the leaders are going, we're not allowed to do that.
It was actually a thing, so from a tech point of view, this is interesting. So the message, when we do a Sunday morning that's live, generally there's about 20 to 30 seconds delay with when you watch it at home, depending on when you press start.
I feel like it's less now.
I think it is less. I think the YouTube servers or something are they're more robust now. Probably pumping out more on a Sunday morning because a lot more churches are live on a Sunday morning. But yeah, so there was literally a 20-second kind of like silence, and then I could hear, I don't know if you could at home, but I could hear John's phone going off, and I was like, and then I think Yale texted me and said, did John really just say that? It was a good morning. It was
good. But we had a great prayer day.
Passion. What can I say?
We did it online instead. So that was one of my favourite. So feedback is really good. It's really important.
I suppose from that we can take that we know the methods of communication work.
Yes.
It's just you got to hit the right button.
Is it my turn?
I think it's your turn. Yeah.
Okay. This looks like a memory. So it says all the updates on Bethel Kids. It's been a highlight. Lovely to see all the smiling faces, when they're smiling, I guess.
Yes.
And hear what the kids have been doing. I think that has been a highlight.
That has been. That was something. So when I first looked at how we could do, what would have been live wires online. And how we could respond to kids' work online. There was a list of things that I very definitely wanted in there. So on a Sunday morning, very often the kids would share what they've been up to over in the centre, and so that was something that I wanted to try and maintain in a live service. Obviously, it then encourages the children to be part of the service as well, and regularly each week they can send something in. It was also a way of drawing people together, because obviously we were all apart at that point. possibly in varying shades of apart at the moment. But yeah, so it was something we definitely wanted to include, and I'm so glad that it's not just the kids who enjoy it. Very often we get some of the older generation from the church actually saying that they really love tuning in for news and updates, and we've been creative. It's been an opportunity to build it creatively into the service, so it's not just like kind of slotted in there. It's actually evolved to be part of the service, and me and Yale have a bit of a rivalry when she takes over the stream at the moment. So it's good fun.
Yeah, I think as you watch that, the amazing thing now is looking at some of the kids thinking, well, a year has passed, and you can really see it with some of them. They've really grown up, and I feel like we need to be giving out name badges when we actually do get back together.
Name badges, I think I'm going to be having to adjust where I look because they're all going to be so tall.
Yeah, it is true.
Is that me or you? Oh yeah, no, yours was a memory. There we are. Memory, you pull another one.
I've got to find a question. Okay. So this one is, what has been the most difficult piece of technology to get to grips with? Ooh. I would say all of the above. I feel like,
yeah.
Tim, you'd be more part of the setup, really. I feel like when I'm okay with technology when it's working. I wouldn't want to build something from scratch, and I wouldn't want to try and fix something that goes wrong. And so probably the stuff I've learned has been more the editing softwares.
Yeah.
I had a bit of that, but to get it up to sort of industry standard, we've learned new bits of kit and stuff. You've had to get your head around all kinds of broadcasting systems. And
yeah. So very early on, I had to get my head around YouTube and how we can stream live to the platform, which resulted in very hectic last second things. So on a Friday night, I think it would have been Friday the 19th.
Okay.
21st. Yeah, so on Friday the 19th, I discovered that you needed 24 hours notice to go live on a new YouTube channel, which Bethel Live was. So we started the channel on the Thursday, just opened the account on the Thursday, and I naively thought, oh yeah, okay, we'll be able to go live on Sunday. And then I didn't realise there was this grace period where you have to register the account. And so I registered that on the Friday, and it became live in time on the Sunday morning. Along with a lot of things early on, it was very much by the seat of our pants in that respect. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things, was adapting to new technology very, very quickly. Luckily, I'd had some experience in it in the past, and deductive reasoning basically says, okay, this button should do this. And it does. Fantastic.
Usually.
Yeah. And I think it's evolved over periods of time, so we use different technology now to what we did when we first started, because the church has been awesome in being able to purchase some brilliant pieces of kit. And then obviously there's been the impact of learning those pieces of kit as well. But yeah, I feel like we're at a stage now where I could probably sit down with somebody for about an hour or two and show them how to use the system as it stands at the moment. There are still some foibles. Audio is always an issue. That seems to be one of the main things. You'd think it would be video, but actually it's audio. And just figuring out how to route that through systems. But I think that's it's just been a massive learning curve over the last year, definitely.
I don't know. It's only been a year. It sounds a strange thing to say, but like on Sunday when we showed the montage of different sort of moments, snapshots of the year, I look back really fondly on those first couple of services. Just because of the sense of camaraderie in it, and the whole church willing it to happen, and trying to pull together to make it something. Back then we weren't attempting to do any music. I think Compline was the first time we did.
Compline was the first time. I think that was it. The second Compline we even attempted a live prayer and praise.
We did at one point.
We did attempt of live prayer and praise, which
don't say attempt.
No, we did a prayer and praise, which is actually the only unlisted video on our account. It is not listed for very specific reasons. We were very early on in the process of doing live services, and possibly shouldn't have jumped into a full live worship event at that point. But the Lord was praised, and we did have good feedback, even though the camera wasn't pointing in the right direction for the majority of it.
There was lots of feedback. The Bible says make a joyful noise. I think that qualifies.
I think we qualified for that one.
Your turn.
Is it my turn? Okay. What's gone wrong the most? Or what's gone the most wrong? Well, it's basically the same question, but two angles.
Reading is difficult.
Reading is definitely... sound. I know I mentioned it just now. Sound has gone wrong the most. I think it's been the thing that I've had messages about the most. We're kind of getting there now. We did have a delay. So sound does funny things. Sometimes it goes out of sync with video, and so you get a delay. So somebody ends up talking, and then the voice is kind of like delayed afterwards. Yeah. Or it just doesn't come out at all, and then you realise there's a switch on the camera that is off, or a selection box on the computer that's not been selected, or a slider that's not been slid up. So there could be any number of reasons why it doesn't happen, isn't on, or why it's not gone on and it's been on during the practice beforehand. Yeah. Sound has definitely been one of those. It's gone wrong the most.
Yeah, I think that's like for live. I think like the sort of sometimes some of the backroom stuff. You've been trying to edit something and you've left it to what's called render, which is where the computer actually makes it into its own video clip with everything in just one. And sometimes for some unknown reason a render can fail, and you can have a day, an evening where you just go back in, try and tweak, try and work out what was wrong, render again. And there have been, I mean, not a huge number for me, but there have been one or two very close calls where you're just willing the computer. And of course, at that point, it's all over to the computer. So Tim and I tend to try and front load our weeks when we're doing pre-recorded stuff to allow the most amount of time for those sort of things. So yeah, I don't think that's ever, it's never complete, I've never had to completely start again or completely fail, but that's been some of the hairiest things, watching this little line, just winning it.
And the timer going down and down and down and then suddenly fail.
Or sometimes going up.
Yeah. Really strange. Yeah.
Cool, that was a question, wasn't it?
That's a question.
I'm getting the format now, here we go.
I've been lucky, I've had all the questions so far.
This is a question.
Ooh.
Okay. I don't know if you've paid somebody for this one. Our online services are always well put together and natural.
Oh.
That's awesome. But it looks so effortless. It must have taken a lot of effort to put it all together. How much time during the week does it take you both to plan, organise and complete everything?
Ooh.
I would say it takes a week. It literally is pretty much what we do now.
So, for instance, this morning, today's Monday, so this morning I've already started. I mean, it's a different week because it's Easter, so kind of like the preparation's a lot longer for it. But so on a Monday, I will look through whatever subject we're going to be doing on the Sunday, or subjects, because I've got teens and youth in between as well. So I'll have an overview of what I'll be doing. And then the Tuesday, I've got my course in the morning, and then I've got teens in the evening. So I will prioritise the study for the teens on that time. And then Thursday, Friday is generally writing, so percolating. It takes place on Wednesday on my day off because it's in your head. And then Thursday, Friday is writing and recording, and then editing, and then Sunday it goes out. That's pretty much the week now.
Yeah, I think over the course of the year I've tried to do things differently, because when this first happened, you just throw yourself into trying to take what was and the key elements of ministry and mission and take them online in a way that people can access. So I think we just threw ourselves into a mad, frantic, it was literally, in any given week, I had a list of things that we were doing, and I knew it would only take really one or two extra things that came in to mean something would have to give, something would have to go. And I think we realised fairly early on we couldn't run at that pace effectively. So then we've tried different things. So you may have noticed the start of this year, January, some of those sermons I filmed at home. So that sort of blue background, the Reset series, the start of that at least, was pre-filmed sermons, just as just to kind of try something new. I think it probably altered the style a little bit, but doing 2 services every week on top of everything else was just too much. And I would say, personally, going back to doing it live feels a lot more like ministry, a lot more natural, and I think it has a more genuine fellowship feel to it, because everyone's gathering together, and there's more of a live dimension. So I think we've tried to rationalise the pace a little bit, and I'm always checking with this one when he's off, to make sure he's having time off. Because the temptation is, you can always tweak, any time you're editing, you can always add something or change something, or it's never done. That's the weird thing.
Yeah, my thought process has kind of evolved over the last year, but it's very much a Venn diagram of kind of like what we want to achieve. What would be amazing to do, what would be amazing to do, creativity, the time that we actually get to do it, and then what we can actually do for that Sunday is this tiny little bit in the middle. And so you really do that honing process of like understanding what you need to teach on a Monday and then kind of working it through during the week is needed in order to create a concise something that comes out, so that you're not overburdening yourself with a massive creative project that you need to get done in 2 days, which can be quite difficult when you've got to film edit and filming alone can be massive. It can involve having to clean an entire room in order to film in it. I think there was one week where I was in isolation and I was having to remain at home, and I still did Bethel Kids from home. But I had to clean the front room in order to do that, make sure the kids were settled and kind of everything. So there was all the other impacts that go on with that, just to make sure that the service goes out. But from a Bethel Kids point of view, I think I've hit on quite a nice thing where I pre-record the services, because it makes them a lot tighter, especially for the kids' work. They need, like I said earlier, they need to kind of go from point to point to point. And it needs to be very tight and concise, whereas I found with the live ones I was possibly rambling a little bit too much, and maybe not, I don't know, but in editing you can squeeze everything down a bit tighter. So
filming is a really weird process. Some of you've done filming for us, which has been great, a prayer or a welcome or a reading or some music or whatever, and filming takes as long as filming takes. Sometimes you can get it done in a few goes. Other times, to try and find that flow, again, like we were saying earlier, without the energy of a live context, it can take a lot of goes to get it right. And it's worth getting right, because once it's out there forever, and for anyone, and seeing what you want to do the church service.
And that has been the strange thing of getting used to, is getting used to the knowledge that once it's up on YouTube, unless we take it down, it's there. And we have seen that viewing figures on some of the earlier videos that have gone out have slowly ticked up over time. You check it one week, it's at so many figures, and then the next week it's at a higher rate. You never know when people are going to pick up those videos. Which is great. It's a good opportunity. It's a good thing, but at the same time, it's kind of it puts the pressure on then to get it right that time when it goes out.
I was having a look the other day at the analytics on YouTube, and in the past year we've had over 27,000 views. I mean, that's just crazy.
Wow.
That's not just my mum, because it counts.
Well, it's mine as well.
Oh, okay, it's our mum.
Yeah, it is.
That'll explain it. Thanks, Mum.
Thanks, mums. Cool. Shall I go for this one?
Here we go. Problem?
Yes. How awesome is that? That's it.
Oh, was that the question?
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm assuming this is.
Do you say that?
I might say it a bit. So over the year, I've realised that there are certain catchphrases that I say. I didn't notice it until people started to say to me, and then once they've said it to me, it gets stuck in your head. So when you do say it live,
it makes it worse.
It makes it worse, and you kind of catch yourself even to the point where even Grandpa was using my catchphrases for Christmas, for the Nativity.
For Christmas, as a present.
Yeah, as a present for Christmas. No, in the Nativity for Christmas. So one of my catchphrases is, "How awesome is that?" I said it really often, and I stand by it though. I stand by that catchphrase because what I was sharing is news and truth about God.
Awesome, you can say it.
And it was awesome, and I wanted to put that across to the young people of how awesome is that. Like, you asked that rhetorical question just for them to go, yeah, actually that is awesome. Yeah. So I stand by it, and who knows, there may be more catchphrases that come out at some points. Like, was it "Dabs on the tabs" is the one that the last 2 weeks is. So I've been doing craft over the last year.
Don't explain it, let's work it out.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, watch some of the videos and work it out. Dabs on the tabs.
Dabs on the tabs. I think when I don't know if you remember this, but we had I can't remember when. It might have been the Easter holiday. Tim sent a whole bunch of challenges out to families. Was that Easter?
Yeah, that was.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Easter break last year. Yeah.
Wow. And people were having fun sending in photos and videos and attempting certain things. And one of them was do an impression of somebody from church. Remember that one?
Yes.
And my nephew Elliot, this boy, did an impression of me. And I have to say it was very, very good.
It was pretty spot on.
It was very, very good. But yeah, there are definitely catchphrases because I think he used wow. And then decided to pray, and then halfway through prayer broke into Amazing Grace without any music, which is just great. So yeah, but that's the weird thing about watching yourself, is that you see yourself doing things.
And I think because
you didn't know you did.
Because it's recorded as well, like, people notice it. And they notice it more.
Yeah.
If it was live, people wouldn't notice it, and you'd get away with it for weeks and weeks and weeks before anybody noticed you were saying it again and again. But because it's recorded, the emphasis is on there, and it's just the focus is on you, and you're just kind of like, how awesome is that? And it happens week upon week upon week.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any psychologists out there, certainly if you've done any studies on this, but I'm getting convinced you watch something 2D in a very different way, and you watch something live in a very different way.
Yes, I think there is something about that.
Yeah. How awesome is that?
How awesome.
Okay. Consider the question.
Yeah.
What has been the effect of having a Zoom meeting on the midweek meetings like prayer meeting, Bible course, and Alpha? That's really, really good. I think for me, just to slightly set the question and come back to it, Alpha's been a real highlight of this whole journey for me and the Bible course. But the chance, because I know a lot of you guys are in small groups and benefit from Zoom through this whole thing, but I've really benefited from being part of a small group of people. Me and a team are leading the courses, but I feel guilty sometimes. I feel like I'm getting more out of it than they are. But I think it's the interaction, because Alpha's designed for discussion.
Yeah.
So is the Bible course, really. And so although there's great input, without that interpersonal dynamic, and I think that's just true of ministry and mission, that the seed is sown, but there's something that happens when you're really churning it over together, really talking about what it means to people. The Spirit, I think, is really able to water stuff in our lives and give life to stuff. So I think having Zoom has been, for me, and for probably you as well, the youth stuff, has been massively important.
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword from the youth point of view, definitely. It's been great to still have the ability to meet up with the teens and the youth. And in fact, the teens group we've seen grow over the last year. Lots of young people who wouldn't have normally been able to make a Tuesday night have been able to make a Tuesday night on Zoom. Because obviously they don't have to travel anywhere. It is just a case of linking in through that. We have found that some youth and some teens are literally on screen burnout by a Friday and a Tuesday, and so that's understandable. But we've kept contact in different ways, be it socially through social media and WhatsApp messages, or just meeting up every now and again whenever we can, whenever the restrictions allow. But yeah, Zoom meant that we could. So we were actually doing the Youth Alpha course last year when COVID hit, when we first went into lockdown, and we were able to continue pretty much seamlessly onto an online version of Alpha. We were actually one of the first groups, and we had one of the presenters from Alpha actually following us on Instagram to see and check in how we were getting on with our Alpha process. Little name drop there. So it is a double-edged sword. Some of our youth, because obviously they use Zoom or Teams for their schoolwork, they are in screen burnout by the end of the week, and I completely understandable if they just don't want to be in front of a camera or be in front of Zoom again for that day. But yeah, it has just been nice to see other ways of growing, other ways of doing games, other ways of doing studies online, other ways of just engaging and building silly things like Bethelcraft. We probably wouldn't have never gotten this far with it if it weren't for the fact that it's actually a really good engagement tool for the young people with where they're at the moment, and they're able to meet up in an online world and spend time socially together with other Christians from the church. So yeah.
And honestly, I think for a lot of people, I'd never even heard of Zoom before this started, and now that's all we talk. For like some days, that's all we've done is Zoom. But to everybody that's learned it and learned the language of it and found their way through it, or are finding it, thank you so much, because it does give us. It's not perfect, it's not even a patch on the real thing.
No.
We're aware of that, but it is something that we can do, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is it me or you?
I don't know.
I don't know. It is me, actually. I just realised the Zoom question was for you.
Okay.
It's a memory.
Oh.
I have loved every experience of being the church this year. The Word of God is faithfully preached has been the highlight and has been like an anchor in this storm for me. Oh,
that's amazing.
That's really nice.
Thanks, Mum.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
I'll go again. Oh, it's another memory. I got a double memory. That's really cool. Everything during the past year has been worthy of praise, but I loved the children's nativity. It was so clever with separate bits slotting together. Yeah, we've said about the nativity already. That has definitely been a highlight and a wonderful memory for the young people as well. Like, that's going to be there now. Like, we can watch it again. We can repurpose it for next year if we want to.
Because they'll all look different next year.
Yeah, they'll all look different next year, so it'll always be like a different group. But no, definitely a wonderful opportunity to be creative.
And I know we were saying earlier about people appreciating the nativity. There was a crazy number of people that have watched that now. In terms of, we wouldn't get that number in this building, that have seen it now.
Yeah.
So I think it is something that people have appreciated, but also felt able to share. And thank you to everyone that's doing that, because it really does sort of enhance what we're able to do.
Definitely, sharing is so much easier now. Taking a Sunday service and sharing it with a family member, sharing it on social media, online, WhatsApp, or however, just kind of expands the amount of people that the Word of God is hitting, and especially the Christmas story, such an amazing story to share with other people. And even if it is off the back of the pretense of so-and-so's in this, they look really cute, they're saying something really cute or whatever, at the end of the day, the Word of God is hitting new people. Yeah. So that's an awesome way of evangelizing. Share buttons and new evangelism,
One click evangelism.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool, because for a lot of people, getting through the door can be a big issue. Like, what they're going to do when I'm in there? Am I going to be wearing the right stuff? All the rest of it. And then, am I going to have to stay till right to the end? People can come, and they don't have to stay to the end. If they choose to stop watching, we wouldn't even know. And so I think there is something a little less threatening about, here's this video. And if it's your own church, or if you've got a relationship to it, it seems to carry a little bit more weight as well. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I've got a double memory, so I've got a question now as well. Okay.
It is Ask Me Anything, isn't it?
Yeah. Tim, your hair, please explain.
Oh, that's a really good one.
It just does stuff. We're all having hair problems during lockdown. Ask John. John has hair problems all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, we all have hair problems during lockdown. I think I've been through many styles over the last year. I think it got taller, and then just collapsed.
Is that what are we calling this style? We're calling it style.
Yes, it is style.
Yeah.
You should learn that, Jon. Okay, anyway, real question. You have a seemingly endless stream of ideas when it comes to craft, storytelling, songs, which is a huge blessing to our families. Where do the ideas come from? And is it hard to keep on coming up with new ideas each week?
Ooh. This is why he has no time for a haircut.
Yes and no. There's wonderful resources, there's wonderful resource teams out there who have created some great things for the young people. Things that I keep going back to, like Ministry for Children website. We get some stuff through the Children Youth Work forums that I'm part of as well, from the Baptist Ministry in South Wales. Which is great, and you just kind of like, that can spark an idea and then lead you on to other things. I think sometimes, like I said, on a Monday, I'll read the word that we've got for that Sunday, and then percolate on it, and then you just kind of let yourself open to new ideas to come forward. Sometimes it is a search on Pinterest or an Ask Yaley moment, so they're quite good. Like, I'm doing this subject this week. Have you got any craft on that? And she might have seen something on Pinterest or a Instagram channel or something like that during the week that I can adapt to what we want to do. I think it's just about being creative, understanding what you need to teach, and then kind of thinking of what's going to cement this, what's going to embed this for the young people, what's going to be something that as they create this craft, they're going to be thinking in the right way. It's going to be working its way into their heads so that they can understand the truth that we've got that morning to share, you know?
I'll have to remember that next time I'm stuck, I'll have to ring Yale and say, Leviticus, I'm pretty sure Leviticus, man, I would have.
Leviticus would be number blocks. You could do number blocks because there's lots of numbers.
Have we got time for more? I feel like we've been talking for ages.
I think we have been talking for ages, but we'll go for one more each.
Okay, one more. So I'll find a question. I'll just find one.
Yeah, find one.
Okay. Zoom or YouTube for a Sunday service, what's the difference? Good question. I think we've covered some of it.
Yeah.
I think YouTube allows people to come anonymously, whereas Zoom does. You can turn your camera off in Zoom, but you very noticeably stand out as not being part of it. Whereas and YouTube, I think, is easier to share with other people. For example, you might hear someone's testimony or song or message and think, I wish so-and-so was here to hear that. Well, no, they can be. You can just pass it straight on. So we tend to use Zoom for things like, we've done Zoom on communion on Zoom some evenings. We've done a whole bunch of quizzes now on Zoom. Hope to do some more of that because you do get that interaction. We did a talent show on Zoom, which was great. So I think it's just a very different media in terms of what you can do. Both have strengths and weaknesses. I never criticise anyone for choosing one over the other, but I think trying to get the balance right between how much we can put out and share on a Sunday morning, and then using Zoom in other ways makes sense to me.
Okay. So when we go back to normal services, what are you going to keep from online services?
Great question.
Are you going to say?
That's my answer. It was a great question. Thanks for watching.
I really don't know. I think it's going to be nice when we're back into a building to have other leaders involved. I think other voices have been missed. We've had some people stepping forward, but not being in front of cameras, not for everybody, I've discovered, and so it can be difficult to ask leaders to put themselves out there like that and record themselves to doing the children's services, whatever. So I think going back into normal services, in-person services for the young people especially. I think I still want to keep the connectedness of having the ability to share the service, share what's being used, but I don't know. I think it'll be some kind of hybrid between them. So like there maybe the resources that we use will be available on the website so that families, even if they haven't attended that Sunday, will still be able to do some of that work. I think that's been something that I would love to keep, is the idea that families and young people kind of encountering God together, and that's been something lovely that's come out of Bethel Kids, is the children at home are sitting down with their parents over lunch, kind of like discussing what they've just done in Bethel Kids or doing a craft together at home kind of really encourages that engagement. So yeah, that would be something that I would love to explore, and how to do it at home, how to do it even if we went back to, you know, in-person services.
Yeah.
So.
I think hybrid's the word that everyone seems to be using at the moment, and I think probably because of the way the foot's coming off the pedal or going back down on the pedal, it's very slow. There's a very slow release mechanism for COVID restrictions, and so as much as we'd all love the big reunion party, we're you know, still months off that, and so whatever comes next will be a hybrid, and we've done a bit of that, haven't we, in terms of last October we were allowed to have a congregation come within restrictions and within reasons, so we couldn't sing, we couldn't fellowship afterwards, but we could at least gather, and you know, evidently a whole bunch of people preferred that and chose to do that. I think it will be different because right now it'd be weird to pretend that you know, everyone was here, and so whenever we're doing stuff, we're doing it to camera, because you guys are all the other side of YouTube. Whereas nobody's going to just show up every Sunday to watch me talking to a camera, and so it's going to necessarily shift. I think we'll both have to understand, both the people who are in the building and the people who are at home, that this is a different thing now, that we're going to have to acknowledge, you know, people in the room and people at home, in more than just a nod to them, you know, so somehow, because I know for a lot of people, people have found church and found faith through this, and you know, who weren't able to or couldn't come easily or comfortably to church, and I don't want to just wave goodbye to those people now. You know, I think I want to honour what the Lord has done and honour them by trying to move forward together in this, and I think that'll be important to how we pace it, how we explain it, and how we plan it. I think there's certain things for me I'll want to take forward. I think I'll always blog now. I've really fallen in love with blogging and writing. That's good.
And I think I speak on behalf of a lot of us. And thank you very much, John, for those blogs as well.
You've just saved a job. That's good. Well done. Thank you. Yeah, well done. Undid all the bad work about the hair. That's good. And you know, that's something that I've had in the back of my mind for years. I've always loved writing, and I'm a big reader. I love that sort of reflective process. But this has forced me to have to do it, but not in a sort of begrudging way. It was only sort of a couple in. I was loving it, and of course we've added those to the podcast, and that's definitely benefited from that extra attention and the different types of content now going on it, not just the sermons. So I think probably that's one thing I'll want to keep doing and carry forward. I think, you know, you mentioned intergenerational stuff. We were saying the other day as a family, we never had communion at home before COVID. We must have done it now, we're sitting in double figures. Sometimes they do it when I'm doing it live here, other times when it's in the evening, although the camera's on me, we're all around the table together. And that's been really special. And I hope we find a way to keep doing that going forward. How and when we'll have to work out, but it's meant a lot to us, definitely.
I think what we've learned is kind of like a phrase that we've learned over the last year with all of this is ideas are subject to change. So whatever we can think about at the moment, we basically leave it still in God's hands. And we're just thankful that you guys come along on this journey with us, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so thank you for all the encouragement, for just being with us, for all the ideas. They've always been good to get your feedback. We've tried to incorporate as much as we can. Thank you for all the times you've nervously sang in front of a phone and emailed it in, or recorded a reading or a prayer. Or the times you've been bold to say, here's an alpha invite, or here's a service you might like.
Or click the share button.
Yeah. Thanks for. It wouldn't be the same, would it? If it was, it really wouldn't be the same. If it was just me and him. That's
not good.
Doesn't bear thinking about, really.
And the sheep.
The attacking sheep.
The attacking sheep.
Oh.
He's moving, I'm sure he's moving.
That seemed to go alright. I've got a really cold foot.
Have you got a cold foot?
Yeah. But apart from that.
Okay. Bye, everyone.